All right, let's dive in. Artificial intelligence, it's completely changing our world. And, our schools are right there on the front lines. So the big question is, how do we guide that change? Today, we're going to dig into a really important new guide from Massachusetts. Basically, a roadmap for educators, students, and parents trying to figure out this whole new AI frontier.
So, first things first, we're not going to start with some dry policy discussion or predictions about the future. Nope. We're starting with a reality check. Because the conversation isn't about if AI is coming to schools, it's about realizing that, in a lot of ways, it's already here. I want you to really think about that for a second. Is AI already a part of your students' day-to-day school life? The answer? Well, it's probably a much bigger yes than you think. And that's because a lot of this technology works quietly, kind of humming along just under the surface. And when you actually look at where AI is popping up, what's so striking is how familiar it all seems. You know that learning platform that suggests the next video to watch? Or the software that gives instant grammar checks on an essay? That's all AI, and it's already woven into the fabric of the classroom. It's almost invisible, quietly shaping how our kids learn and even how they're graded. Okay, so since AI is pretty much everywhere, it is absolutely crucial that we're all speaking the same language. The guide from Massachusetts does a great job of breaking down AI in schools into three really clear categories. Let's get into what they are. First up, we have predictive AI. Think of this one as the fortune teller of the group. It looks at a whole bunch of past data to try and forecast what's likely to happen next. It's like an early warning system that can help schools spot students who might need a little extra support to stay on track for graduation. And then, of course, there's the one we've all been hearing so much about, generative AI. This is the creator. You give it a prompt, and it produces something totally new. A first draft of an essay, a lesson plan for a teacher, even just a list of ideas. It's an incredibly powerful tool for brainstorming for both teachers and students. And finally, we've got the new kid on the block, agentic AI. This type doesn't just predict or create, it acts. It can make its own decisions and adapt on the fly. Imagine an AI tutor that doesn't just give the same lesson to everyone, but actually customizes a learning path for each student in real time. This is where things start to get really dynamic. And this brings us to a really, really important point from the guide, understanding what AI is not. It's a tool to help people, not a replacement for a teacher. Full stop. It absolutely needs human oversight because it's not perfect. It can actually pick up and even amplify human biases. It's not some magic, perfectly fair system. And recognizing those limits is everything. Okay, so with all these powerful tools and all these potential risks, how in the world are schools supposed to navigate this? Well, the state has laid out 5 core principles that are meant to act like a compass, guiding every single decision a school makes about AI. So here they are, the 5 principles that form the bedrock of this whole approach. It all starts with data privacy and security. You gotta protect student information. Then comes transparency and accountability, so we always know when and how AI is being used. Bias awareness is next, which means actively looking for and fixing unfairness. Then there's human oversight, making sure a real person, an educator, is always in the driver's seat. And finally, academic integrity, which forces us to rethink what honest work even looks like now.
That all sounds great on paper, right? But what does it actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's zoom in on one of the trickiest challenges facing schools, academic integrity, and see how these principles actually give us a clear path forward.
This single line from the guide, man, it just says it all. The goal isn't to ban AI or just catch kids using it. The goal is to make sure the tool is being used to reinforce learning, not to just skip the learning part altogether. It's a subtle difference, but it's a powerful one. And to do that, you have to completely flip the script. The old way of doing things, that punitive cat and mouse game of trying to catch cheaters with detection tools that don't even work that well, that's out. The new approach is all about instruction. It's about building a culture of trust and actually teaching students how to use these powerful new tools ethically and openly. So what does that actually look like in a classroom? It could be something as simple and profound as this. Students are actually encouraged to include an AI used section in their assignments. Right away, the conversation changes from a suspicious, did you cheat, to a genuinely curious, that's cool, how did this tool help you think? So, we have a clear path forward on academic honesty. That's huge. But the principles demand that we look even deeper. It's not just about making AI use honest. How do we make sure it's also fair? How do we make sure it isn't just baking in old biases and making things worse for some students? And to do that, the guidance pushes schools to constantly apply an equity lens by asking some really hard questions. You know, whose voices are being amplified by a new AI tool, and whose are maybe being silenced? Who really benefits from this technology, and who might actually be harmed by it? These are not easy questions to answer, but asking them is absolutely essential. When you take a step back and look at all of this, the definitions, the principles, these tough questions, it all points toward one single overarching goal: making sure that this technology serves education and not the other way around.
And just in case there was any doubt about that, the guide puts a very fine point on it with this statement. AI is a support system, period. It cannot replace the uniquely human things that make a teacher great: context, empathy, and moral reasoning. No machine can do that.
So, here's the bottom line. The most crucial takeaway from all this is simple. This guidance, it isn't really a tech manual. It's a guide to protecting the very human purpose of education itself. And so the guide leaves us with this final, powerful thought. The future isn't something that's just going to be built by machines. It has to be built by us, by the choices we all make, as teachers, as students, as parents, as communities. So the real question is, how are we going to build it? Together.